Good evening, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Council of the City of Long Beach, held Tuesday, November 16th, 2021 at 7 p.m. We'll have a roll call. Councilmember Delury.
Present.
Councilmember Mandel.
Present.
Councilmember Treston. Vice President McGinnis is absent. President Bendo.
Present.
Let the record indicate the presence of City Manager Donna Gaden, Corporation Counsel Richard Barrios. We'll now have a salute to the flag.
Mr. Barrios, since you're standing already, why don't you lead us? Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our second meeting of November. And I guess we'll get going. Do we have a city manager's report tonight?
No report.
Okay.
Did you hear me? No report.
All right, so if we don't have any report, I guess we can move on to the agenda.
And as I announced earlier, items 1, 12, and 13 have been removed from the calendar. Item 2 is a resolution declaring the City Council of the City of Long Beach lead agency for the 1.25 million gallon elevated water storage tank project.
Good evening, everyone. This resolution is a follow-up to last meeting's resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for a grant under the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation Water Infrastructure Improvement Act for the 1.25 million gallon water storage tank project. An additional requirement under the grant program is to declare lead agency status, as well as to confirm that the State Environmental Quality Review Act was followed. In this case, H2M has filled out the short environmental assessment form for the project and declared it's a Type 2 action, and no further review is required under SEQA. Please note this is a prerequisite to the grant application, which is due November 22nd, 2021. It's due November 22nd, 2021.
All right.
Any questions?
And just for the public's, just so they're aware, a Type 2 action just means it doesn't require any further CEQA review.
That's correct. It requires no further action.
Right.
That's correct.
So, all right. Any questions from the council? Any questions from the public? All right. Seeing none. On to item 3.
Item 3 is a resolution declaring the City Council of the City of Long Beach lead agency for the project replacing well number 16.
Okay, thank you again. Similar to the previous resolution, this is a follow-up to last meeting's resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for a grant under the New York State EFC Water Infrastructure Improvement Act for the well number 16. An additional requirement under the grant program is to declare lead agency status, as well as to confirm that SEQA was followed. In this case, H2M, as in the previous one, has filled out the short EAF form and declared it a Type 2 action, and no further review is required under SEQA. This is also a prerequisite for the grant application, and the grant application is due November 22nd. Any questions?
All right. Any questions from the council? Hearing none. Any from the public? All right. Thank you, Joe. On to item 4, which I'm assuming is you also.
That is correct.
Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase sodium bisulfate from the lowest responsible bidder.
Yes, this is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase sodium bisulfite from the lowest responsible bidder. On Thursday, October 22nd, 2021, bids were received in the Office of Purchasing at 11 a.m. The low bidder was AutoChem Corp. At $14.95 per 330-gallon container, which equates to $4.53 per gallon. The wastewater treatment plant requires approximately 10,000 gallons for the remainder of the fiscal year. Please note this was a rebid. We actually rebid this project in August, and the sole bidder was PVS Technologies at $8.25 per gallon. So we decided to basically rebid the project because the price came in much higher than it was previously. And we actually bid it, instead of bringing it in as a tanker, we bid it as, it's called totes. They bring them in 330-gallon storage containers. And it ended up being cheaper. So Therefore, we recommend awarding the bid to AutoChem. Any questions?
Yeah, could you just tell people what the sodium bisulfate's used for?
Absolutely. Interestingly enough, we use sodium hypochlorite to chlorinate waste that goes through the wastewater treatment plant. About 3 or 4 years ago, they put in a new regulation where you have to dechlorinate before it exits the wastewater treatment plant and gets put back into Reynolds Channel. So the sodium bisulfite, the sodium hypochlorite adds the chlorine, then the sodium bisulfite removes the chlorine when it exits the plant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any
You're
questions
welcome.
from the council? Any from the public? All right, thank you, Joe. On to item
You're welcome.
5.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing settlement of an action brought by Patricia Broder against the City of Long Beach.
Good evening, everyone. This is a settlement of a personal injury action concerning a slip and fall. It happened not far from this building, actually. I'm sorry, Charles Geiger, Assistant Corporation Counsel for the City of Long Beach. We've been defending a lawsuit arising out of a slip and fall. The woman fractured her ankle rather terribly. There's an awful lot of hardware in her ankle holding it together. I'm sorry? I thought I was. My apologies. The court, Supreme Court, County of Nassau held a court-mandated ADR mediation. Judge Lally officiated it. During that time, a framework for potential settlement was fashioned, and there's a $200,000 total value to the settlement, of which the city would be paying $52,000. I've recommended the settlement. I guess that's it for now.
All right, any questions from the council? Hearing none. Any from the public? Okay, Mr. Lester.
Hi, Roy Lester. I understand this was a ramp that was built by somebody else for Bank of America, and it was a handicap ramp. Is that correct?
It is a handicap ramp. It was built by a contract for the City of Long Beach many years ago, and the city has maintained that.
Well, what they said basically was. Can,
Wait,
oh, I'm sorry. My understanding.
Charles.
No, we couldn't hear
Couldn't
Charles.
hear Charles.
We can hear you loud and clear.
We'll pass the microphone back and forth. This is the city installed this ramp through a contractor many years ago, 15 years ago or so. So it's actually the city that installed it. The city has been maintaining them to comply with the American Disabilities Act. So that's where these things come from.
So, according to this, the tiles were coming off, and the city was taking the position that we needed the tiles for blind people, and the court said we didn't, or I don't quite understand it. The tiles were coming off, the person tripped on the tiles.
This is a slip and fall over worn tiles. The nubs on top of the tiles had actually worn away over time. And there was no court determination per se, because we attempted to settle this before appeals, or before motions and appeals, before others got out.
I was looking at the motions for summary judgment that were denied. Both the city and the other side put in motions for summary judgment. They were denied. The court wrote extensively on it. And the only thing I'm questioning is, normally in a situation like this, the city has to have knowledge of these. But because somebody else built the ramp, my understanding is we didn't need to, nobody needed to tell us about the defect?
No, the case you're referring to is another matter that happened about 6 years before this one. That was a tripping hazard. This is a slipping hazard. And that case, yeah, there was a motion for summary judgment that was denied. And we took an appeal, and it settled during what's called a camp conference in the appellate court, where the city contributed very little money. Unfortunately, prior notice of a defect there, while it was a different defect, put us in a different position in this particular litigation.
I'm just trying to find out if somebody else makes something for us, the requirement of prior notice doesn't apply?
Prior written notice does not apply if the city or its agent created a condition. In that prior lawsuit, that was the argument, that the thing was no good when built.
It's only 52,000. All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions from the public? All right, thank you, Chuck. A rare appearance from Chuck. And on to item 6.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city council to enter into a contract memorializing the city manager's employment.
Okay, I guess we'll go, any questions from the public on this?
Well, first we have to read it. Oh, no, we don't.
What?
What did you say?
Yeah, any questions from the public?
Liz said something. I didn't, I'm good. I'm caught up.
Okay, all right. Come on, come on.
Let's see if we can, no, that's not going to rise. Yeah. This is it? All right. And this is the contract for Donna for the, until December 31st, 2023, correct? Okay. So basically, Donna was hired on February 28th, 2020, when she came in as a financial expert to turn around the city's finances. I'm assuming that she vetted the city when she came in, so she knew what kind of mess we were in. In 2021, on our the first budget she had complete control over, our operational expenses went up $10 million. At that time, at the time she was hired, her salary was $178,000 per year, more than we had ever paid a city manager. Today, we're looking at a compensation package that would raise her to $220,000 a year. That's over a 24% increase in about a year and a half. That is at a time when we have been the most fiscally stressed municipality in the state for 3 years running. Our debt service has gone up by almost $4 million in a single year, and we continue depending on grants for a good part of our operation. I'm not here to judge the job she's doing. I personally like Donna a lot, but I'm just asking what the metrics are that we're being used to justify this raise.
Okay, I guess.
The other problem is there's a legal doctrine called the term limits rule that says it is a violation against public policy to bind successive members of a city council to a contract relating to the areas of governance entered into by members of the predecessor city council. It's a long-established doctrine that is well spelled out in the 2011 case in the matter of City of Newburgh versus Jean Ann McCrane. In that case, the City Council passed a resolution reappointing the respondent to the position of city manager as the council was about to change. This led to extensive litigation, which is the last thing Long Beach needs right now. There's no question that the new council members should have a say in this choice, but for some reason that's not being done. We are about 6 weeks away from a new council, but for some reason this contract must be rushed through. Besides, it is questionable whether this is a valid contract, as the city charter allows the city council to terminate the city manager's position with 30 days' notice. In this contract, the city manager would be entitled to 6 months' pay, which is contrary to our charter. Although it is true that the city council can enter into an agreement with the city manager, I'm not sure if the council is taking the position that they can enter into an agreement that violates the charter. The truth is, I would like nothing better than to be convinced that this contract is for the benefit of the taxpayers. But over the years, I've been asking questions and not gotten the answers that convinces me that it is. So once again, I'm asking, please convince me with hard metrics why it's so important to give such a raise when we are in such a sorry financial state. Personally, I'd like Donna and would like to be convinced, but to be honest, as of yet, I have not been.
All right, well, thank you for your input. The simple fact is that the next administration will include 3 members from the current administration, so if the 3 of us support this, there's not burdening anyone except the same people who are voting on this.
That's not what the law says, John, but that's all right.
If you feel you need to challenge it, then that is your prerogative. All right, thank you. Any other comment? Eileen Hessian.
Eileen Hessian. I don't know the legal aspect of it, but I was thinking that since we have the vice president absent tonight and 2 lame ducks, that maybe this could be tabled until the new people are in charge, or on the council, I should say. I'm not sure why at this time of year we're giving out raises. I don't understand. It's November. Shouldn't we wait until the beginning of the new year or something? That's not even a question. That's kind of rhetorical, but I am asking that it be tabled until we have a full council sitting here who will be working with Donna, who, by the way, I admire. I just don't like how this is being done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other comments from the public?
I'm Sean O'Neill, Long Beach CSEA Executive Board. Obviously, we've had a great relationship with Donna. I'm speaking on behalf of the CSEA that we're looking forward to having this relationship further on in the future, and we appreciate all you've done, and this will pass, so let me be the first to say congratulations. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from the public? All right, seeing none, I believe Councilwoman Treston has a statement that Councilwoman McGinnis asked her to read.
I actually have a number of things to read, so I ask everyone's patience while I do so. The first is a statement from Assemblywoman Missy Miller regarding the extension of contract for City Manager Donna Gaydon. I fully support the extension of the contract for City Manager Donna Gaydon. As we all know, the city has suffered terribly under prior mismanagement, full of scandal and fiscal irresponsibility. Donna was willing to step in and try the wrongs of past administrations and do the very difficult work necessary to bring the city of Long Beach back to where it should be, a beautiful, thriving seaside community. It has not been easy, and she handled herself with stoic efficacy. Her hard work is paying off, and in my opinion, extending her contract would be the best and right thing to do. On behalf of Vice President Karen McGinnis, Karen could not be here tonight because she is traveling, but she wanted me to relay to everyone that her support for Donna and this new contract is without question, and that if she were here tonight, she would enthusiastically vote yes. Personally, I would like everyone to know that I am in full support of Donna Gaydon's contract that we will be voting on in a bit. I understand that many of you wanted to see drastic changes the first couple of months we took office. There are things that a city council member can do and things that city council members should not do, and do not have the authority to do. We are a governing body, and we hire essentially the CEO to run the day-to-day operations of the city. This city council was elected and given the responsibility of changing an accustomed thought process many of us have. How many times have we heard, "This is Long Beach," in a disdainful way? It takes time to change attitudes and perceptions. We are under severe recommendations from the New York State Comptroller to overhaul how the city does its business, including stability. Under Ms. Gaydon's leadership, the way things is done is changing and transforming for a restored future for our city. There are no more handshakes in back rooms. Political favors are no longer done. To reiterate, it is the responsibility of this council to hire the city manager, and I hope that you, the residents and the taxpayers of the city of Long Beach, know that we always operate with the interest of the taxpayer. So I thank you, Donna, thank you, President Bendo, and the members of council for this time.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was asked, Senator Kaminsky asked me to read a statement he submitted. He says, "Sorry I could not be here tonight to personally address you all, but I am writing regarding the extension of City Manager Donna Gaydon's contract. I am glad that Donna Gaydon will remain as Long Beach City Manager. She has worked diligently to steady the ship in Long Beach, which requires more time. I am grateful for her dedication and look forward to continuing to work with her to help move our beloved city forward. Thank you for your time." That was from Senator Kaminsky. So are there any other comments from the council members? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to item 7.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept and execute a grant on behalf of the City of Long Beach from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation.
Good evening again, everyone. This is a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept and execute a grant on behalf of the city with the DEC to design and construct a salt storage dome at the city's transfer station at Riverside Boulevard and Park Place. The city's salt/sand is currently stored outside and uncovered. Every DPW publication recommends that salt for plowing operations be installed in a cool, dry place atop slightly elevated concrete slab. When exposed to moisture, the salt dissolves and drains into surrounding soils. You can lose a substantial quantity of stored material if it's exposed to moisture. The grant is $109,252. It requires a 50% match. The city share is $52,626, and $55,000 is in the current capital budget for the match for the project. So I strongly recommend that we move forward and execute it. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the council? Hearing none, any questions from the public? Okay.
I'm sorry, I do have a question.
What?
Where is this going to be?
At the city's transfer station at the southeast corner of Riverside Boulevard and Park Place, or Reverend J.J. Evans Boulevard.
Okay.
Joe, just one question, not specifically for the grant. It's the location. How is the pumping station? Is what we're doing here affecting anything with the pumping?
There should be no, they're not
Okay.
related really
Not
in
related?
any way.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions from the council? All right, hearing none, any questions from the public? All right, thank you, Joe. On to item 8.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing the city manager, excuse me, to accept a donation from the Long Island Chaplain Task Force.
Good evening, everybody. This resolution is the Long Island Chaplain Task Force has decided to, through our contacts and contacting me, to donate a school bus to the Long Beach Police Department that they're going to refurbish. It's not one of those 40-passenger buses or 50-passenger buses. It's a smaller bus, like a 25-passenger, and I believe we've been able to identify one that has an accessible ramp in the back for some persons that require that. that would be one thing that they're willing to donate to us. They're willing to paint it and make it part of the police department as a community outreach vehicle that we could transport our officers to, members of the public to. We're trying to build a law enforcement exploring program to move the kids around the city and things like that and to wherever they have to go. That's one of the things that they're willing to do. The other thing they're willing to do is we had an old ambulance that was sitting over at City Garage that was not really being refurbished. So they have offered to take that ambulance, refurbish the ambulance, and turn it into a mobile command bus for the police department so that we can more effectively manage emergency situations and things like this so that the city has a more effective and productive response to any type of emergency that the police department may have. So it's very generous of them. They are a philanthropic organization. They work very closely with the Hempstead Police Department, and they're very interested in the barrier island here of Long Beach because many of their members actually live on the barrier island and some in Long Beach. So I would highly recommend that it passes, but if there's any questions from the council or the public.
All right.
I don't mean to overstep my bounds, sorry, John.
Any questions from the council members?
Commissioner, I've never heard of the Long Island Chaplain
Task
Force. How did this come about?
Yeah, so I had a relationship with some of the members of this particular organization when I was in Nassau County. They also, I know that they worked very tightly with the Hempstead Police Department. I was working with the New York State Chaplains Task Force and still am trying to work on developing a more comprehensive chaplaincy for the city itself, response, recovery, and from like catastrophic events, if you will, and also a chaplaincy for the police officers to have a place to go. Some of the members on the New York State Chaplains Task Force are also on the Long Island Chaplains Task Force. So through those relationships, I was able to, they came to me and asked, we talked about things that we could possibly use. These were actually my recommendation that if they could do that. One of their members owns the largest private busing company in New York State, who is willing to take buses that he has, and he does all the mechanicals, he fixes it all up, and he's willing to donate this to the city.
So it's basically relationships that you've had
Yes, that's exactly
over the
what it
years.
was, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions from the council? All right, any questions from the public? All right, seeing none, let's move on to item
Thank you.
9.
Item 9 is a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 2021-22 fiscal year.
That would be me. We're asking to transfer $5,000 from the regular salaries, which was in my line item under city manager for municipal dues. There is an organization, there are two different organizations. One is National League of Cities. They offer several options for us. They have federal advocacy. They have over 7 committees. However, they also have a grant portion where we can go in and see all the grants that are offered. This organization will benefit the city in a lot of different ways where there can be training, that we can get additional, beside grants, information, white papers, things like that. And the remaining $1,400 of it is for a membership into the International Association for City Managers.
Okay, any questions from the council members? Hearing none, any questions from the public? Okay, on to item 10.
Item 10 is also a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 2021-22 fiscal year.
So this, good evening. This resolution is to ask City Council to approve transfer of funds between the departments. The budget is a living document. We face operating needs in certain departments, have operating expenses in excesses in others, and this is just to memorialize the fact that the budget's moved with the operating needs of the city. I'm going to skip to the second resolved because it pertains to directly pertains to the department that's under my control. It has to do with the purchasing. In the course of the last couple of months, the city was able to consolidate 2 full-time positions into 1 position, where there was an attrition in the city controller's department, and we were able to fill it with a full-time employee from the purchasing department, and we are not intending to replace that full-time position with the full-time position, but only with the part-time. That will cost the city about $20,000 through the end of this year. Hence, this one is talking about moving regular salaries to the temporary salaries line. I will probably, it will be much better if I am going to let on a first item, I will let maybe John speak as to the changes in the city clerk office. In the resolve that's talking about moving available funds from the city manager's full-time salaries line to the central garage full-time salaries line. That's basically to fund the need in the central garage for a mechanic. We all know that we have a very mature fleet of vehicles, so we've identified funds in the regular salaries in the city manager's department. And then the very last resolve, where we're moving funds from the sewer maintenance department to the water pollution control. Both of these departments are sewer fund departments. There was retirement in the sewer maintenance department, and again, the funding and the operations were reassessed after that, and the available funds are going to be moved to the sewer maintenance department. I will attempt to talk about the changes that are coming from actually contingency to the city clerk and street maintenance department. So basically, those transfers are needed to fund grade changes, title changes in those departments, in clerk's office and the street maintenance office. And again, we have very hardworking employees throughout the city, and this is to recognize that fact. And people move, people take more and more responsibilities, just like I mentioned about what happened between the purchasing department and the controller's office. And we're asking for the city council to consider those transfers.
Okay. Any questions from the council members? Hearing none. Any questions from the public? All right. Thank you, Ina. Let's move on to item 11.
Item 11 is authorizing the city manager to enter into a software agreement to upgrade the city's municipality system.
Good evening. Jamie Roman, IT. Municity is our parcel management, building, permitting, code enforcement, inspections and fees, and our clerk system. All their functions are performed through Municity, and SCA has announced ending support for the legacy Municity, which is what we use now, on July 1st of 2021. So they are proposing to move our software to a software as a service model, and in essence eliminating any in-house maintaining of the software for Municity, Everything will be cloud-based. So you have cost savings in hardware and software maintenance when the server has to be maintained or replaced in the future. Your data is protected with the highest level of cybersecurity, which they would be responsible for. Data backup and recovery is included. Municipality, we still own the data, so at any point in time, we can take the data and move to different software. You may access the data from anywhere, so if we had any need to move to a different location from the building, you'd be able to still work using the software on the cloud. Software updates are automatic, so we wouldn't have to worry about out-of-date software. And in the future, if we wanted to add additional modules, it would be an instant turn on the switch. They do offer tax, utility billing, DPW. They have different modules for municipality, all encompassing. And municipalities can better predict and manage their resources and their staffing. The pricing includes the initial licensing, the setup, implementation, and training, and then annual maintenance for the supporting and the hosting of the software. That's it. Any questions?
I have a couple questions, David.
Mike, can't hear you.
Oh. When you have a cloud-based system like this, during COVID, this would have been beneficial if people had to work remotely, correct? Okay. Thank you for moving in that direction, by the way. Anybody can work remotely that is password initiated.
Yep.
I'm sure it's encrypted with
Yes.
security where...
Yeah, so they follow the CIS guidelines for passwords, for encryption, for security, safety policies. It's all CIS based.
Who controls the access for passwords? In other words, are you the person that would know for, let's say, new employees that now come in hypothetically?
There would be an admin here, which would likely be me.
Right.
And if I was absent and for whatever reason, somebody at the location could also do it.
And can you just repeat those departments that would benefit by this? I think you said building department.
Right now, it's building and clerk. In the future, we can move tax and water to the software also, and the tax assessor.
That module is going to be very challenging, I can
Yes.
tell you
Yes.
right up front. The last question I have, which comes to quantifying how many training hours and by who. For example, you have support here, and the reason I'm asking this question is because I'm familiar with other areas that you're given a certain amount of hours in training. So I don't know if you know I want to put you on the spot.
It's not quantified on here, but the training would be by the company.
Right, okay, because that could run into the control of that training and those hours could, and I guess you would be the
I
person.
could get
that would
that information for you.
That's okay, as long as you're the person that oversees it. That's all my questions. And thank you for moving it to the cloud-based.
Yeah, we're trying. Any other questions?
Yeah, the annual maintenance, by moving to, I guess it's version 5 here, Municity 5, which is the cloud-based now, does that annual maintenance include upgrades to newer versions if they're released?
The software upgrades are included.
So we'll automatically be
Yep.
upgraded to
As
we'll
soon
be
as they
current
come-
with the latest version at all times?
Yes.
Okay.
That is a part of the benefit of going to the cloud. You don't have to worry about future upgrades.
Okay. And any other questions from the council? Okay, any questions from the public? All right, seeing none, we can move on to the voting.
start with item number 2, which is a resolution declaring the City Council of the City of Long Beach, lead agency for the $1.25 million elevated water storage tank project. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 3 is a resolution declaring the City Council of the City of Long Beach lead agency for the project replacing well number 16. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase sodium bisulfate from the lowest responsible bidder. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Excuse me. Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes, and thank you, Commissioner, again for saving us money with the tote.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing settlement of an action brought by Patricia Broder against the City of Long Beach. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the City Council to enter into a contract memorializing the city manager's employment. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept and execute a grant on behalf of the City of Long Beach from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept a donation from the Long Island Chaplain Task Force. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 9 is a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 2021-22 fiscal year. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 10 is a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 2021-22 fiscal year. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 11 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a software agreement to upgrade the city's municipality system. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes, and thank you, Jamie.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
City manager's monthly personnel report has been filed by the city clerk. Who will make a motion to close the meeting?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes. All right, I'm going to move on to good and welfare. As soon as we get the slips, get 3 minutes of time. That's the bottom, okay. Kathy Williams. Kathy Williams? Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Ms. Lake? Now what happened? Now they're face down. Thank you. Oh, you got handouts, okay.
Good evening, Crystal Lake. On November 15th, 2016, I submitted suggestions regarding the comprehensive plan, which some of my suggestions were incorporated into the current 2018 document. However, I just wanted to show everyone my original intent of my suggestions. I did request a North Park community benefit agreement. I also requested a pre and post environmental injustice analysis, a pre and post gentrification study. As you will also see, there is a first source hiring. I don't like speaking, but I like behind the computer. First source, hiring source, first priority, unemployment. You'll see a lot of my suggestions are in the document, as well as the others that, you know, in your leisure time, whenever that may be, you may have the opportunity to review. Secondly, what was most important to me as well is the New York State Sea Level Rise Task Force final report to the legislature. And why that report was so important to me, 3 residents of the city of Long Beach were New York State Sea Level Rise Community Resilient Work Group members. And those 3 individuals were Len Torres, former city council president, Mike Cruz, representing Los Latinos, and myself. And we definitely brought our A game to the point where, out of the state, North Park, under the auspices of Long Beach, New York, was one of the 3 adaptation champions. From that document and from that designation, I felt, and I do feel, that more should have come from that designation. Somehow, some way, maybe individuals or someone did not understand the urgency of it under that declaration. However, moving forward, the status of the North Shore Critical Infrastructure Project. As we all are aware, well, the last time that I checked the bayfront, there is no bulkheading, there is no flood mitigation measures within the North Park community.
So, Chris, sorry.
Okay.
One of the things, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, there is bulkheading that's going in as part of the North Shore project. So there will be.
The critical infrastructure, there's 2 separate North Shore projects. A lot of times people are confused.
No, there is going to be bulkheading installed back there. But I think, like I said, you have a lot of historical perspective as well. It might be worthwhile to have you talk to the Planning Commission, who's also working on the comprehensive plan, just because, again, you have a lot of the historical perspective.
And data.
So, and obviously information, right, as
Data,
well.
yes.
So, because we're not going to get it done in 3 minutes here.
No,
And-
but my concern is, the last time, there was additional money awarded to install the bulkhead in the center. It was supposed to be 2,500 linear feet of bulkheading. Now, the North Shore project, that's past the bridge. I'm specifically speaking of the area of Long Beach Boulevard to the railroad, which I am not aware
Yeah, Joe,
that there's, so I just want to know the status of that
I
current
think
project.
the commissioner will speak a little bit about that and
Good evening, Crystal. Good to see you, of course. Yeah, I think we're talking about two projects. One was the North Shore Bulkhead project, which was a governor's office of storm recovery project, which was approximately $12 million. And that project was to address bulkheads on West Bay Drive and in the canals and in the West End. And then we're talking the project you're referring to, I believe. It's called the North Shore Critical Infrastructure Protection Project. This was a $33 million project awarded under the FEMA 404 Mitigation Grant Program. And we're on the verge, hopefully, of being able to award that project. And you are correct, the project includes putting in a new cantilever steel bulkhead from Monroe Boulevard all the way to the railroad and to the waterfront park, as well as putting in a stormwater pump station, which will alleviate the flooding that you have at Riverside Boulevard and Pine Street, and well as address flooding all the way down on Riverside to the beach, actually. Plus, we'll also be basically clearing that whole area and putting a new road back there. It's gonna be a really great project. It's just taken us a very, very long time to get there. Unfortunately, we're having, if you would like, I can get into some of the funding issues we're having right now and issues with the contractor, proposed contractor. But there's a very good possibility within the next 6 months we could be moving forward with the project in the spring, most likely. Okay? Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Joe.
all right,
You're
thank you. Ms. O'Leary.
Good evening. I wanted to speak about the downtown plan that we're in line to get money for. This goes back to the presentation 2 weeks ago at the City Council meeting. You know, it's my hope that we get the whole amount, or even if we get the half amount, it would be wonderful. One thing caught my eye in the presentation, which I wanted to clarify. There was a line where it said traffic calming via lane elimination. And that to me just doesn't make sense. So maybe that could be explained. And I didn't see any part of the plan that addressed the history of Long Beach near the train station. For example, I believe the building that Five Guys Burgers is in is the oldest building in Long Beach. So I think that needs to be protected and not turned into condos so that people can get to the railroad quickly. So maybe you could address those issues, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you.
Who's the, Joe, is that you the right person to talk about traffic calming, or?
I don't know if it's Patty or Joe.
Oh, Patty?
It was about the presentation that we did for the $20 million, Joe.
Is that what you're talking about?
Was this the transit-oriented
It was $20 million.
development project? Or different, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Mrs. O'Leary, for bringing up these points. Regarding traffic calming, if we get the funds, we will look to increase safety, because one of the issues that's come up a lot for Park Avenue is the issue of people crossing the street, pedestrians, bicyclists, interactions with cars, with taxis, people speeding, people not respecting stop signs, not respecting street traffic lights. So those are the issues that we would be looking at to protect people in the area, and looking to do it by traffic calming so people don't speed through the area. So I'm glad you brought up that issue. Does that answer your question?
You know, I had in mind that HOV lane for people coming in and leaving the beach. To me, that would calm traffic, make
Well, I think, right, it's premature to talk about narrowing or not narrowing, because we have to, first, if we get the award, which I checked on yesterday, and they haven't decided on a date yet to make an announcement. Of course, we're hoping to get it for Long Beach. And secondly, the process would start with a committee that would be formed, of course, involving residents, and it would be working with the state and with the city of Long Beach, and having some kind of engineers, designers, to listen to everyone about their issues. The listening is very important, to hear what the issues are and come up with something that is satisfactory to everyone. So I think it's premature to talk. I mean, traffic calming and narrowing streets work some places, not necessarily what we're talking about on Park Avenue. We'd have to investigate it. Okay? That's a very good point. That's a lovely, important building in Long Beach, and I have that down in the notes, again, to keep on our list. Great, thank you.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Lester again.
It's my exercise walking over here. Couple of things. We've been promised the beach revenue for a while now. Do you know when we're going to get that?
We were going to do it at the last working session. However, one of our staff members wasn't available, so it will be at the next working session, which will probably be in a couple of weeks after the first meeting in December.
Okay. Did we meet our projection?
The staff is right there in the audience.
Okay. Second thing is we have a cannabis meeting tomorrow night, opt-out. We are having members of I heard we're having members of the cannabis industry presenting. Is that true?
Rich?
They are among the people who will be presenting, yes.
Has the city met with them already? I mean,
The city, I believe my office had a presentation from one of the presenters. I'm not sure if they're going to be the ones actually presenting in this particular moment, but I can verify tomorrow.
I'm sorry, Rick, you're really hard to hear.
Yeah. I spoke with one of the prospective speakers. I'm not sure if it's going to be the same exact speaker, so I couldn't say for sure, Mr. Lester.
But it's the same company?
It's from the industry, yeah.
When you say the industry, is it a specific company or?
I believe there may be someone from a specific company.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're going to present numbers, what they think Long Beach will make from it?
I don't know exactly what their presentation entails. I believe they're coordinating with the city clerk on their PowerPoints and the time that they're going to need to actually present.
Okay. And last question, 3M and Old Mulvaney, are we still accruing fees with them?
Yes, we are. We're still negotiating the Haberman case, and they're assisting us in that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Hessian.
Eileen Hessian. I just wanted to mention, I guess, a thank you to Drew Barrymore for outfitting our fire department, and also to Kevin Bacon for coming here to film his movie. It's kind of interesting and unusual to have movie stars in our town or connected with them. Sort of similarly, it was nice to hear from Todd and Missy tonight, also interesting and unusual. I also wanted to say that, John, I listened to the IDA meeting today, and I think you represented our town very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And finally, the corners of Washington and Broadway are really a blight. The HALB has been empty for years now, and the Chinese building has been empty for quite a while. I understand it was sold, and I'm wondering if you can tell us who bought it and what their plans are for it. Both corners are dangerous. The fence at HALB is broken and falling apart. The windows of both buildings are broken. If kids got into either of those buildings, which we know they have because of the graffiti, it really could cause I worry about money, and that could be a big lawsuit. So
We will have someone from buildings go over and take a look and get back to you.
Thank you.
And then what we'll do is we'll report again at the next meeting. So once we get back to you, so everyone that's here can hear what the response was.
terrific, thank you. Do you know if it's been sold yet, the Chinese building, or?
Yeah, I had not heard that, so we have to check
Yeah,
into that.
that rumor's been going around, but I saw someone going in it a couple of days ago.
Okay, all right.
So,
Well, good, thank you.
All right, that's it, folks. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you if you're coming for the public hearing
just a
on
couple of-
cannabis tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hold on.
Couple of
sorry.
quick ones, if you will. Sorry, because we didn't have the customary city manager's report. So, as Roy brought up, tomorrow night there's the hearing on whether or not the city should opt out of the proposed cannabis legislation. That's at 6:30, City Hall. Thursday at the Community Center for the Housing Authority, the Long Beach Police Department is partnering with Long Beach Aware to hold a substance and alcohol abuse forum replete with Narcan training. And then on Sunday evening from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., we dealt with Kevin Bacon and the bridge on Long Beach Road today, which was really not much of an inconvenience. It was a freak out over nothing to some degree, but we had to let everybody know that there would be periodic closures because of that filming. But Sunday evening from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Monday morning, the Loop Parkway Bridge will be closed. Both directions, the bridge will be up, and it will be unpassable during that time. So we'll continue to make that announcement, let everybody know. And yes, thank you, Eileen. We wanted to thank Drew Barrymore as well. If anyone missed it on Monday, they did the reveal of our fire department den makeover for the paid fire department. You can catch it on her website. That is all. Thank you very much. You're free to go now.